Hey Narwhals, and welcome back to some more weight loss stories. Only a small percentage of our viewers actually subscribe. It's free and you can always change your mind later, so please tap subscribe to join the original 100k Narwhals. The fat but fit is a myth when it comes to heart health, new study shows. I'll link the article and the study in the description below if you'd like to read it, but now let's read the comments. As a biologist who was a little bit on the heavier side, it's been known being overly fat has huge effects on your body's health in more ways than a basic cholesterol and glucose score reads out. It has an effect on cell morphology, phenotypic profile, protein expression, unregulation of cell stress markers, mounting oxidative damage, etc. It's part of the reason I began taking my health more seriously. Down 70 pounds, lots of fat gone, and I've gained a lot of leg and back muscle in 2 years, and my body just feels better. One huge issue is that many of our living environments are not set up for walking. You just get in your car and drive. I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted because I walked and biked all over the place. Then I got a job in a smaller city without public transportation and blammo, got fat real fast, and I have a hard time moving quickly like I used to. It sucks. Whenever I visit a city for a conference, I like to walk around just to casually look at the architecture and see something different from my usual environment. It's annoying when the layout isn't conducive to pedestrians. Encouraging everyone to drive a car encourages obesity. I'm morbidly obese since high school. When I talked about dieting in a plus-size fashion group, I was called fatphobic and toxic culture, when it's like, no, I just want to be able to walk upstairs and reduce the pain I'm in from my joints daily. I don't have to cater to the feelings of people that don't live in my body. I knew someone that had a friend who was close to 400 pounds, but she insisted he was healthy. I told her that I'm not sure that's possible. She was very insistent and sounded like she took it personally. I let it go. The discussion about health in general should focus more on what external factors contribute to an unhealthy lifestyle in the first place. Usually, the discussion zeroes in on an individual's responsibility to be healthy and focuses very little on what responsibility society has to enable such a reality. Because the truth is, people have vastly different starting points when it comes to acquiring and maintaining health. On top of that, health is not something static. Much like our ability to maintain it, health will fluctuate over the course of our life, and that is perfectly fine. But such nuances far too often get lost in the fatness is healthy/unhealthy debate. Exactly. When more than half the population is overweight or obese, it isn't just a them problem. It's a social problem that needs to be addressed systemically. People don't seem to get that. And a lot of folks will say that Fred was able to diet, why can't everyone else? Missing the point that individuals are capable of choice, but populations are predictable. The USA is stressed the frig out. The middle class is merging with lower class financially, healthcare is extremely expensive unless you're wealthy, surplus income is disappearing to all the varying debts that must be accrued to have a middle class quality of life. We eat to cope because food is cheap and a socially acceptable medication. If we want the population to make different choices, we need to change the conditions of the population. If someone is fat, they aren't fit. That part is obvious. That doesn't mean we should treat fat people badly though, as that might make the problem worse. It isn't easy to lose weight, and it takes time. There is a middle ground to this. I think the problem is multifaceted, like many problems. 1. Fat people are demonized and treated badly, so a counter-movement developed around body positivity to combat that. Both are bad. I think that people should be comfortable in their own skin, but also realize that their own skin right now isn't their best skin. Being fat doesn't make you awful or make you less of a person or diminish the other great and beautiful things about you. It does, however, put you at a greater risk for health problems. Those two things can exist in the same person. The problem I have with the body positivity movement is that they stop at the positivity part. They don't actually address the reality of obesity or promoting a healthier way of living. As someone who struggled and is still struggling with weight, I get it. I need to feel okay with being fat, but I also need to feel like I can be better than simply being fat. First, the stigma has to be refocused. Secondly, it needs to be addressed. It's one thing to be aware that your weight is unhealthy, but you don't have to convince yourself that you're a bad person. I'm still just an intern, but from my time with my hospital's nutritionist and dietitian has taught me that someone feeling like fat equals I'm a terrible and gross person is a surefire way for them to not follow through with a nutritional and fitness plan. Instead, I've seen the approach of, hey, this is the reality of the situation, but you have the power to change it. It won't be easy, and there's a lot of uncontrollable factors. I live in a low middle class area, but here's what we can do to improve your quality of life, is way more effective. Here's the whole thing. I'm not a fan of body policing at all. People should be happy and feel good about themselves no matter what. But I think it is dangerous to continually call oneself healthy at like 400 pounds or pretend there are not health risks that come along with excess weight. I think everyone should be celebrated regardless of size. We should not police each other, but I also fear the straying from logic in regards to what is healthy or not. I know my friends who struggle with weight tend to be consuming a lot more calories and processed foods and are eating unhealthy treats and drinking alcohol more often than my friends who are fit. There is either a serious level of sedentary behavior, a health issue, or a high calorie intake to maintain heavy weight. Oftentimes, people track their calories improperly or underestimating. When I have kids, I don't want them to aspire to be overweight, but I want them to know that they are loved and it is okay if they are. For myself, I felt physically very uncomfortable as a heavier person. Breathing was harder during workouts, and I reached my peak heart rate very quickly and stayed there, which is not great. Since losing weight, my breathing is great and I have endless energy. I just don't know anyone who exercises regularly, tracks calories properly, and stays overweight without some sort of health component behind it. Really not trying to bash anyone who struggles with weight. I obviously went through it too. But regardless of the good choices I was making or how strong I became, I really didn't think myself as a vision of health at 240 pounds. As a fat person, I agree. I don't pretend that I don't need to lose weight. I know I do for my health. I hate, however, that so many skinny people think fat people eat like crap. I don't eat fast food and ice cream all day. I had a veggie omelet this morning, I had a spinach salad with almonds and cranberries last night, I had steak, rice, and broccoli the night prior. I destroyed my metabolism with years of EDs and having PTSD, which makes it hard to work through the food issues. Absolutely respect all people who are kind regardless of their body, what they eat, etc. Remember that stereotypes are just that though. Stereotypes. They may be based in some truth for some people, but they are far from universal. The fat positivity movement is a movement that says that your self-worth and self-esteem as a human should not be judged based on your weight. And the fat positivity movement also says that even overweight people should be comfortable dressing the way they want to dress and doing what they want to do, including dancing and yoga. I have no idea where this notion that obese people are healthy came from. You should not equate your self-worth with your weight, but you should try to be healthy. Fat positivity movement also points out that skinny fat people and sedentary skinny people are not called out for their unhealthy lifestyle as much as fat people. 50% of the population in the US is obese, so it's clearly an issue, and the fat positivity movement was about making people disassociate their weight from their self-worth. But again, I don't know of many overweight people who claim to be healthy outside of a few extremist bloggers, but that's probably true of every philosophy and lifestyle on the internet. And being fat and overweight should be looked at the same as being a habitual smoker or an alcoholic. Using American numbers, because those are what I have, 73.6% of American adults aged 20 plus are overweight, 42.5% obese. Almost 3 in 4 Americans is beyond healthy weight. That's an epidemic. And we need to use the real terms. Just because you're not 350 pounds and 5'5" doesn't mean you're not obese. If your BMI is above 25, you may be overweight. 30, you may be obese. I say may because BMI is a screening tool and not a diagnostic tool. Obviously, people like powerlifters fall into obese by BMI, but it's mostly raw muscle mass. Only a medical professional can properly diagnose obesity by looking at multiple variety of factors. And I'm sick of hearing the excuses. I don't have time to eat healthy. Yes, you do. You can spend 1 hour a week and meal prep lunch for the whole week. It will save you money, you will eat healthier, and I'm sure you can find 1 hour a week. Eating healthy is expensive. No, it's not. Find your local discount grocer, like Aldi in the US, and buy just the essentials. Yes, if you go to Whole Foods and buy free-range organic, it's expensive, but you don't have to. Basics like rice, eggs, potatoes, vegetables, even chicken, and you can feed an adult for under $20 a week. And pick up some basic spices and you can have a lot of flavor variety with a few ingredients. Watch what you drink, and this is a big one. Beer and soda are generally 100 plus calories per 12-ounce can, and it's pure empty calories. Drink more water. I live in a food desert. Okay, this can be a real problem. 6% of Americans live in food deserts, but that's not even 10% of the overweight population. I don't have time to exercise. Yes, you do. You don't have time to hit the gym for 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. Make small life choices. And park in the back of the parking lot to get in extra steps, take the stairs instead of the elevator, and go for a walk instead of binging Netflix. The gyms are closed and I can't afford a membership. Bodyweight workouts are free. I'm just too tired to do any of that. Try. Part of the reason you're tired is because you're physically unfit. Once you start getting fit and losing said weight, you'll find you have more energy. Seriously, you will sleep better, be more alert, have more energy, and you may find a lot of minor ailments or aches and pains are gone. I just don't want to and don't care. Okay, fine, at least you're honest. I didn't know. This is a very real problem. With how prevalent overweight and obesity are in the US, many people think that such bodies are normal. And another issue is the lack of healthcare. People don't see doctors who would normally tell them and educate them on their unhealthy weight. But now you do know, so take charge of it. And that brings us to the end, Narwhals. And please tap subscribe to join the original 100K Narwhals. And lastly, here's our featured Narwhal of the Day. Greg Doucette's anabolic French toast is legendary.